welcome back to The Explainer. So, you know that absolute dread you get when you open your banking app? Your stomach drops, and instead of feeling secure, you kind of just want to immediately close it in horror? Yeah, we've all been there. You find yourself doing that mental math, trying to figure out if buying groceries means eating instant ramen for the rest of the week, or if you can actually justify a simple cup of coffee. But what if I told you there was an exact mathematical milestone where that fear just completely disappears? Seriously, the data shows there's a very specific line in the sand. Today, we're going to explore exactly what that number is and how hitting it fundamentally transforms your life. Think about it for a second. What's the magic number that instantly pops into your head when you think of being wealthy? For a lot of us, the whole journey of building wealth feels like trying to push this massive, incredibly heavy boulder up a ridiculously steep hill. You're straining, you're sweating, you're barely making an inch of progress. And honestly, you're probably questioning if it's even physically possible to get to the top. It just feels like this impossible, insurmountable number. Okay, let's dive into this. Because if you listen to the financial gurus out there, they're going to tell you that you need $1 million or at the very least a six-figure salary to finally feel wealthy and secure. But the math reveals a totally different invisible barrier. The real turning point is actually much, much lower. It's $20,000. Once you hit 20 grand, your financial boulder finally crests the hill. Everything before this point, it literally feels like you're pushing uphill against gravity. But everything after that $20,000 mark, that's when gravity finally kicks in and starts working in your favor.
Section 1. Escaping survival mode.
Because here's the thing, the true magic of this milestone isn't just mathematical. It's what happens inside your brain. When you have zero savings, your brain operates in pure survival mode. It's a state where every single financial decision is filtered through fear and scarcity. When you're broke, your brain literally cannot zoom out to think about long-term growth or opportunity. It's exactly like trying to plan a luxury vacation while your house is actively on fire. You just can't do it. Your mental bandwidth is completely consumed by immediate short-term threats. So you take bad jobs because you can't afford to be picky, and you stay in toxic situations because leaving just feels way too risky. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. Look at this Vanguard data. They found that scraping together just $2,000 in emergency savings boosts your financial well-being by a massive 21%. Just that tiny buffer creates a huge shift. But when you push that to 3 to 6 months of living expenses, which for most people lands right around that $20,000 mark, you get an additional 13% boost in well-being. You finally created enough breathing room for your brain to completely shift from just preserving whatever little wealth you have left to actually building new wealth. Section 2. The math of momentum. Let's move to and see how this builds because the mathematics of this stage are incredibly exciting. Imagine you're aggressively saving $1,000 every month with an 8% return. Getting to that first 20,000 takes about 19 months of really consistent, difficult discipline. I mean, it requires serious sacrifice. But hitting your second 20,000, it doesn't take another 19 months. It only takes 17. You did the exact same amount of work, but your existing money pitched in to help. Fast forward to a $400,000 portfolio, and it only takes 5 months to generate 20 grand. The exact same amount of money that took you nearly 2 years to save initially is now happening almost automatically. It totally proves that the first threshold is by far the hardest part of pushing the boulder. After that, your money starts doing the heavy lifting for you. You know, a lot of people think the wealthy have access to some secret, exclusive investment world. But the real secret isn't a fancy hedge fund. It's simply scale. Look, a 10% return on $2,000 gives you $200. It's nice, sure, but it's not going to change your life. But apply that exact same 10% return to $20,000, suddenly you're looking at $2,000 in profit. You're using the exact same index funds, the exact same brokerages, taking the exact same risks. But scale suddenly transforms those small percentage wins into money that actually matters, all without you having to lift a finger.
Section 3. Rewiring your brain.
Accumulating this kind of money requires a fundamental identity shift. You've proven to yourself that you can actually delay gratification. Remember before you hit 20K, you agonizingly weigh all these micro decisions. Should I buy the brand name cereal or the generic? Can I really afford this $3 coffee? Should I spring for premium gas? It requires these constant mental gymnastics that just drain your energy. But in the liberating post-20K reality, you realize these micro-decisions are largely irrelevant. You stop sweating the small stuff and free up your mental bandwidth to focus entirely on macro decisions, things like where you live, what you drive, and what your investment strategy is. Because those are the massive choices that actually swing your net worth by tens of thousands of dollars.
Section 4. walking away muddy.
So, the crucial point is how radically this milestone shifts your professional life and your negotiating power. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're trapped. You can't ask for a raise because you're terrified of the consequences. But with $20,000 sitting in the bank, you gain incredible career leverage. You can ask for that raise without fear. You can push back on unreasonable demands from your boss because you know deep down you could quit tomorrow and survive for months. You can explore new opportunities safely. Just knowing you have this safety net gives you a secret superpower. You start to exude this natural confidence that actually attracts promotions, creating this amazing positive feedback loop of workplace success. Section 5. The Opportunity Cost Trap. Now, there is a very dangerous pitfall waiting right at this finish line. People hit 20 grand, they feel that massive psychological relief, and they immediately decide they deserve a reward for all their discipline. And often, that reward takes the shape of this staggering number: $400,000. That is what the average person is going to spend on car expenses, between the monthly payments, the insurance, and the gas over a 40-year period. People are actively destroying their wealth on transportation while simultaneously complaining that they just can't afford to save for retirement. It is literally like spending a fortune on a luxury gym membership you never use and then complaining you can't afford healthy food. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the brutal math of opportunity costs when it comes to emotional purchases. A $30,000 new car loses 20% of its value the second your tires hit the street. Your money is just evaporating into thin air. Contrast that with investing that exact same $30,000. Given time, it could easily grow to over $200,000 over 20 years. This demonstrates perfectly why the person driving the flashy new car is probably up at night stressed out about money, while the person happily driving the 10-year-old Honda is making strategic choices, quietly building massive wealth, and sleeping incredibly soundly. Section 6. The Ultimate Takeaway. So the absolute key lesson here is that $20,000 is not a reward to go spend. It is the rock-solid foundation of your future generational wealth. It takes full-blown financial emergencies and downgrades them into minor inconveniences. As the saying goes, having money gives you options, and options create more opportunities to make money. Wealth isn't some cosmic conspiracy where the universe only rewards people who already have cash, right? It's simply the result of having clear goals and allowing compound interest to work together over time to buy your future freedom. It gives you the option to act on a golden investment or a risky career move that previously you would have had to pass up just out of pure fear. So I'm going to leave you with this final lingering thought. What are you genuinely willing to sacrifice today to build your financial foundation? The discipline you choose to practice right now is something your future self is heavily counting on. Start pushing that boulder up the hill today, because I promise you, once it crests that $20,000 mark, the momentum will completely and fundamentally change your life.